So most of us know the importance of having a healthy diet and eating plenty of fruits and vegetables and good quality grains. But what if the fruits and vegetables that we're eating or the foods that we're eating aren't quite as nutritious as we think they are? So there is a lot of current debate around the nutrient quality of our food, and particularly fresh produce nowadays, due to speculations of reduced soil quality and nutrient density. So I wanted to take a look at the research and uncover whether this is actually the case. And in part 2 of this video, I'll be talking about supplementation, whether it's actually needed, and if so, which ones are the right ones, which one should you go for, or is it just one big marketing scheme? So welcome back to my Balancing Nutrition channel. My name is Bonnie McGibbon and I am a registered dietitian and health coach, here to share with you nutrition facts and hacks. So I really appreciate any and all support. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and like this video below. And if you have any suggestions on future videos, feel free to comment that below too. All right, so let's talk about modern agriculture to kick this video off. So it's incredible how we can grow massive amounts of food to feed the world, right? But there's a potential downside to this efficiency. So many crops today have been specifically bred to produce higher yields to support growing populations. And this is fantastic for feeding a growing population, but it might also come at a cost. So these high yielding crops are often optimized for size and growth using fertilizers. Fertilizers are great at providing macronutrients, the building blocks plants need in bulk. However, they often don't replace the vast array of micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals that are naturally present in healthy soil. So think of it like this. Imagine an apple, for example. Modern farming practices might make that apple grow bigger and faster, but it might also be missing some of the vitamins and the minerals that slower growing, nutrient-rich soil would provide that apple. So the overall proportion of these micronutrients gets diluted as the size of the produce increases essentially. So that's one thing, but research is also showing a worrying trend. Worldwide, soil quality is declining due to factors like intensive farming practices, deforestation and erosion, among other things. And these practices deplete the soil of its precious micronutrients, leaving crops with less nutritional punch. So let's take calcium, for example. So in the US, the recommended daily intakes for calcium vary, but 1,000 milligrams is about the average, and it's different worldwide. So nearly all the rest of the world has lower requirements for calcium per day. For example, the World Health Organization suggests 500 milligrams. In the UK, I think it's around 700 milligrams per day of calcium that they say you need. But let's just go off the higher value, the US value, for the sake of this video. So to put the nutrient density into practical context, I'm going to share with you some research from a study, which I will link all the studies below, that looked at various crops from the years 1975 to 1997. And one of those examples was broccoli. And they showed that to get 1,000 milligrams of calcium from broccoli in 1975, when there were apparently about 103 milligrams per 100 grams, you would need to consume around 970 grams of broccoli per day, or 34 ounces of broccoli a day, okay? Now they then compared that to the calcium content of broccoli in 1997. So over 20 years later, when the concentration of calcium was apparently around 48 milligrams per 100 grams instead of 103 milligrams per 100 grams as it previously was. So you would have to consume over 2,000 grams of broccoli per day to get your calcium intake. Now, that's not to say that you would rely just on broccoli for your calcium intake, but that's just giving you an example of the difference in calcium content or nutrient in broccoli from 1975 to 1997. And now we're in 2024, so I can't even imagine what it would be like now if they were to do the exact same assessment. And that basically says that you would need to consume about 2.14 times as much broccoli in 1997 as you would have needed to in 1975 to get your required micronutrients. Now, here are just a few more examples from that study showing the difference in nutrient density in different foods between the years of 1975 and 1997. And this document provides specific examples of nutrient declines in various vegetables. So I've already mentioned the broccoli example, where the 50% decrease in calcium levels. Then there's also spinach. So the iron content has reduced by 45% from the mid-20th century. Tomatoes are another one of those things. Vitamin C levels have dropped by 30% over several decades. And even things like cabbage, for example. Protein content has diminished significantly in cabbage, which impacts the overall nutritional value of the vegetable as well. So these declines underscore the importance of improving agriculture practices, essentially, to enhance nutrient quality and density in the crops that we are eating. Now, the type of farming practices heavily impact the nutrient density of the soil and therefore the foods that we eat, right? But both organic and conventional farming practices affect soil health, but just in different ways. Take tillage, for example. Tillage, a common practice for weed control, is used in both organic and conventional farming practices. However, it does degrade the soil's organic matter and disrupts the soil life. So for instance, studies have shown that tillage reduces earthworm populations and microbial diversity, which are both crucial for nutrient cycling and soil structure. Now, conventional farming often relies on synthetic nitrogen fertilizers, which can reduce the abundance and the diversity of the beneficial soil fungi, for example. And these fungi, particularly this one, which I can't pronounce properly, so I'll put it here, play a key role in helping plants absorb essential minerals like zinc and phosphorus. High fertilizer use tends to decrease the mutualistic relationships between the crops and these fungi, leading to lower mineral uptake by the food. Now, while organic farming generally enhances soil health by avoiding synthetic chemicals and using compost and mulch, it isn't without its challenges. So relying on tillage in organic farming can still degrade soil health, as I mentioned before. However, organically grown crops typically have higher levels of health protective phytochemicals compared to conventionally grown crops, which often contain more pesticide residues. Regenerative farming practices, which include minimal tillage and the use of cover crops, have shown promise in improving soil health and therefore increasing the nutrient density of the crops. So these practices boost soil organic matter and enhance microbial diversity and improve as well the availability of micronutrients like zinc and iron in the soil. Regenerative farming practices also contribute to long-term soil health, which is critical for sustained agriculture, productivity, and environmental sustainability as well. Now, I know that I've gone off on a bit of a tangent about different farming practices, but the reason I am talking about that is because it all impacts the nutrient quality of the food that we eat. And understanding the impact of farming practices on soil health and nutrient density is crucial for making informed food choices. So opting for foods grown using practices that actually promote soil health can help ensure a diet rich in essential nutrients and beneficial phytochemicals. And it's also more environmentally sustainable too. So depending on where you buy your food, who you buy your food from, you may not be getting the enough essential nutrients required for your body to function optimally. And in this day and age, it can be hard to tell because people are really sneaky with their marketing. Unless you're growing your own food and you know exactly what's going into it, it can be hard to know for sure. So in the next video, or part 2 of this one, I will also share information about supplementation, which ones I would recommend, if any, based on the nutrient depletion in soils and bioavailability of the nutrients in various foods. So I hope this video was informative for you. I hope you learned something from it. And stay tuned for my second video on supplementation. See you next time.